We are live.
And
We are live.
welcome. All right, so
Welcome.
you guys, the live streamers are lucky because they get to hear the pre-show. So this is right now the pre-show where we all have to hit record on our. Where'd Jordan go?
We're here.
So okay, we're live, but Jordan's telling us he refreshed the page. That's okay.
Yo, I always refresh the page.
This is an absolutely new experience to us. So let's not refresh the page.
Oh, we're all here. Okay, cool. This is working.
So with that said, do we all want to hit record on our recorder so we actually get the good quality audio podcast?
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been recording for 22 seconds.
All right, so I could record now? I'm going to record now?
Do it.
All right. Recording.
All right.
And then you could have fun syncing this up without any clapping to...
It'll be fine. It'll totally work.
Yeah, let's sync it up. All right.
All right, I'm going to...
Episode 4, take 1.
Wait, do it again. Phones.
All right, take your headphones out.
Second sticks, guys. Second sticks.
This is episode 4, take 2.
Perfect. All right, well, now that we got that out of the way, I guess we can start.
Yeah, let's officially start this.
We're
Technical
live.
difficulties.
Yo, is this live though?
It is live. I just saw us on my other computer. We are up and people are watching us right now. Hello, everyone.
We have one viewer. No.
All right.
Yes, it's not my other computer or anything.
So,
Can these folks enter in a chat though?
yeah, I think in the comment section of the YouTube video.
Interesting.
So you want to get the show rolling? Jordan?
No. All right, let's get this. Let's get it popping.
All right.
Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? Jordan. No. How we start it? Just I'm just the live aspect is so fun. All right.
It is pretty awesome.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Your Film, a Playground podcast, episode 4. And today we're going to be talking about pre-production. All the ins and outs.
Jordan, I know you're 5 hours away from me in the East Coast or on the East Coast, but
Yes, sir.
it's freezing here today. It is
What?
frigid.
It is 93
It's like 18
degrees.
degrees.
here in
Are you
California.
serious?
It
93?
sucks. I'm sweating in my room right now because it's so hot.
I wore 2
Yes.
jackets today. I had to bundle up, and I realized I was walking outside. I'm like, man, this is what it's like to be on set here in New York. And I'm like, wait, Troy's never been on a cold set. He doesn't know what it's like to be
Yes,
sitting next
okay.
to-
I haven't been lies.
He's never been cold before in his life.
No, 52
I have
degrees
been-
isn't cold, Troy.
Listen, check it out. So in the desert here, it gets really, really cold. Like at night, it gets freezing. I mean, I was on a set probably like 2 or 3 months ago.
Cold.
And, okay, yeah, my idea of cold in California is very different than your guys's. But it was cold because there was wind, and it was like, I don't know, it was probably like
accept.
45 degrees with a wind chill factor.
45
so that
degrees? Come on, that's nothing.
It
Try
was
to be
raining.
standing-
Let me
Try to be
to.
standing outside with a 2-story tall double riser with an HMI on top, just holding it so it doesn't tip over with the breeze. And it's
That's why you have to tie that shit down.
yeah, it's tied down. Don't
tie it
worry
down
about
so
it.
you
Don't
know.
worry about it.
I'm trying to like articulate how cold it is, or like articulate the cold. It's the kind of cold that makes you question your life, or like
Oh my gosh.
your existence. Like, should I be alive right now? It's that cold. That's
You guys have been on that cold of sets.
Oh my God, yeah.
Go
It's
outside right now.
freezing.
See, and that's
Yeah.
ironic because a set that's filming is actually called a hot set, so you guys have been on cold sets. So there's a joke.
Oh man. So, speaking of production, what comes before it? Pre-production.
Pre-production.
So,
Mhm.
Jordan, with your movie, what stage of pre-production are you at right now? Where are we at?
The many simultaneous stages of pre-production. Right now, I think we're getting the cast and crew together. We just launched our official crew call video, and yes, and now we're debating Craigslist and Facebook groups and personal emails and all that stuff, texting everybody, trying to get everybody on the team. But there was a lot leading up to that.
How big is their crew going to be?
It's going to be pretty minimal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to think. First AC, second AC. I'll be the director and DP. We'll have a producer.
Nice.
I've debated with my producer if we need a first AD, a first assistant director, and
Yeah.
I think
I would say that's pretty dang important.
Especially when you're shooting your own movie.
No doubt. First AD, I've been a first AD before, and it's a crucial role. I just think my producer made a good point that she could maybe take over some of the first AD duties during production, because the producer they have some responsibilities during production, but I mean, when it's such a small crew that there's not much to worry about as a producer.
Yeah,
I mean,
on our sets, the producer is always the extra.
Yeah, well, I mean, the producers handle a lot of the stuff in pre-production. I mean, and that's essentially what we're talking about today is all the stuff that's front end before you start production. So, you know, they're still very important, but come time during production, it's like, all right, the producers all hanging out over there, but they're all dealing with paperwork and stuff like that. So it's different. Yeah. It's hard to judge them without knowing what they're doing. You know,
SAG signing is the worst. It's funny. I shot. I don't even know how. I probably shouldn't say this, but it's okay. We shot a film a while back. I'll leave it vague. I didn't direct it. I was involved with the film a while back, and we didn't do our SAG signing, and SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is basically, you know, to audience members, you have to get permission from them to basically use their actors in a sense if you're a student filmmaker. It's a very interesting, long, tedious contract. Make sure you get that SAG stuff done on set, otherwise it'll never get done. And we had to like literally fake our shooting dates, like in the producers or like in the movie Argo or something. Like
I'm watching right now.
We had to fake our shooting dates, and I was not involved in that, so I hope I don't get in trouble with SAG-AFTRA now because they merged. But
right.
But yeah, so I recommend make sure that you get all the SAG stuff signed on set with your actors. That's the last form of pre-production, and probably most important if you're using SAG actors.
Does SAG sort of work like a union?
It is a union, yes.
Okay.
It is, yes.
I'm totally unfamiliar with how a union works. I've never been on a union set or met anyone who was a union member.
Well, basically, the way that a union works, it's like a standardized. You are guaranteed a certain rate.
Okay.
Because it's almost like there's a governing body that declares what your rate is and what you're guaranteed, so that you're not screwed around with and stuff like that, you know.
And don't they also like limit the hours you can be on set? Like you can't work more than a
there's
12-hour day.
There's like, you know, if you're a child, if it's someone that's, you know, under the age of 18, they can only work so many hours, and
it's
they also have to be guaranteed 8 hours, right? And then you have to be guaranteed if it's like a school time or school week that they're getting their schooling in and stuff like that. So I don't think with children, obviously, like union or not, you're going to have to do stuff like that, but it's just kind of, unions are a way to like standardize things.
Right. So, for example, typically SAG-AFTRA actors aren't allowed to be on student productions because, you know, we didn't pay any of, most people that use SAG-AFTRA for student films don't pay their actors unless it's, I mean, obviously transportation, food, and things.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like, if SAG has a set rate, are you paying your student SAG members?
It depends on the actor. If it's somebody that you really, really want and, you know, they're only for pay, they do. But I would say majority don't. And, you know, the actors understand that. They want to build a reel and get on NBC's Law and Order or something like that for their day job or whatever. So in this case, typically they're not allowed to be on student sets. But recently, I'm not sure if it was recently or there's an option, there's a form where they could fill out to get permission to be on student sets. Typically, the producers of a film are responsible for this, but for a student film, SAG-AFTRA doesn't recognize student producers because they don't exist, they don't really count in a sense.
Do you have to be in a producer's guild to be recognized as a producer?
Pretty much.
Really? Is that what I'm? Okay. Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure you have to be a certain amount of like. If you want to get in a union of any kind, this is for PGA, DGA, SAG, anything like that. They all have different. I mean, if you want to get an electrical union, doesn't matter. They all have a certain amount of standards that you have to meet, and usually what that is like for an electrical union or something like that, you have to be on a certain amount of like union sets. And what is declared a union set is if there's a certain number of people on set that are in a union, and so you have to get, I think, like 400 hours on a union set in order to be declared a member of that union. So and I'm pretty sure that works with like all unions that you're in for film.
Yeah. So
and you have to pay like a membership, don't you have to pay like dues per year?
Right, exactly. I think DGA is somewhat like $1,000, something like that.
But you get somewhat guaranteed jobs if you're in the DGA, if you're in a guild, or if you're in a
guaranteed protection. Okay. A lot of Directors Guild, a lot of people in the Directors Guild don't like the Directors Guild. Like, I think George Lucas was kicked out of it, or he just left.
Because he's the kind of guy that would have just left because he hates the whole institutionalization of film. Like, he just hates Hollywood, so I figure he just left.
For example, I think it was for Empire Strikes Back, you know, how Star Wars was really the first film to not have credits in the beginning. One of the requirements in the Directors Guild is to have credits in the beginning of your film, and since he didn't do that, he almost lost like all the rights to Star Wars or something like that, something ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
And he was threatened to be kicked out of the guild, and I think the way it worked out was he just left the guild, which was very unstable, and I can't remember why that was a very risky idea at the time. I think because I think something to probably do with like production insurance and things like that. I can't.
Well, the idea of being an indie filmmaker at that time was like such a foreign concept, and it was only because that was the golden age of directors. I mean, that was when Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese, and him were exactly. They were doing it, and he was one of like the forerunners for that. So the only reason he was able to do that was because at first he was like living on Francis Ford Coppola's dime for the most part. Like they started a production company together, and it was kind of like they were forging a new path. And I think they were just like, whatever, we're gonna do this. We have money that Francis Ford Coppola has made, and I just did THX 1138, which was kind of a bummer. But I have American Graffiti coming, and that's gonna do really well.
Yeah.
So I think like they were able to.
Yeah, like being an indie filmmaker back in the day, you're just a loser to everyone. I mean, it's like it would like being an entrepreneur back then. You know, like, dude, get a job. Why aren't you with the studio? Why aren't you with a larger company? You know, just kind of like this unemployed guy who's.
And it all changed with
indie filmmaker
and Robert Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So,
well, and that's.
Have you guys read Rebel Without a Crew?
I have not. I've watched some stuff about
it. So?
Yeah, that's his book, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's my favorite book.
I've seen this film school, like that renegade film school stuff.
Yeah. To me, I mean, he's very knowledgeable. Little bit pretentious, like, oh, anyone can direct, shoot, and write their own movies, and $7,000, that's nothing.
Music.
Yeah, he does come off
right? Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't want to say cocky. I really like the guy. It's kind of like that. Like, you know, not everyone's an all-star in a sense like he is, if you want to classify him as an all-star. I remember I was talking to someone who had a friend that worked on his set, and he said he when he directs his movies, he directs it and like does pre-production, Hitchcock style, which means like everything is figured out before day one on set. So you know, all the lights are placed before, you know, shooting. Like in his head on paper, they just establish everything.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
That's an extensive amount of time, though. That's so detailed.
Right. He's kind of like a Renaissance man with film.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that like he can do everything. He's kind of like. Do you guys know who Shane Carruth is by any chance?
Sounds familiar.
Shane Carruth is the guy that was the star, directed, wrote, produced, edited, and wrote the music for Primer.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen Primer just once.
So Primer was really cool, but the movie that like he made that was like really, really awesome and kind of like shook up the world a little bit was it's called Upstream Color. But this dude
Okay.
is just like I don't want to say savant because people will probably take offense to that, but the dude is a renaissance man. He is just so good at everything. I can't even imagine doing that, especially, I mean, what we're trying to talk about is pre-production, but like, can you imagine having to logistically set all that up and like just be like, I'm gonna do all of this, you know? I don't know if that'd be easier because you know everything that you're doing, or harder because you're not allocating resources and allocating jobs. You
Yeah,
know, but insane.
like there's a lot of gears going at the same time. Like I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in delegation, that you should give as many jobs away as possible when you're setting up a film. Like when I was doing an indie film as the producer, I made sure that this is your job and this was my job and that was his job. And like right now on my film, I'm doing storyboarding, budgeting, casting, crew. Like there's a lot to go on all at the same time.
Right. You're one of those Renaissance men right now. You're trying to do a lot of it.
I
Yeah.
think a reason behind all that is because, we kind of were raised in the age where we've been watching people like Griffin Hammond, Film Riot, all these YouTube guys at Freddie W. doing it yourself, 2-3-man crews or 1-man solo crews. It's funny because like every movie I've ever made in my life, I've really taken responsibility, everything from like sometimes acting in it, directing it, and doing like boom op, like checking after every take, making sure like my 12-year-old neighbor got the sound right and they didn't get the airplane. I have movies like that, man. It's crazy. This is my first time ever, like, I have a production designer, and she texts me every day, oh, what do you think of this? I'm just like, I borderline feel bad making other people do work that I think I should be doing. But I'm I'm talking to my DP. He's like, you'll get used to it.
But you love it, though. You love it because, I mean, especially if it's someone that you can trust and you guys have, like, a great flow of communication, I'm sure that's, like, phenomenal because, I mean, that's a lot off of your plate. And ultimately, you're going to be getting, I mean, if this is someone that does a great job for you, you have a great relationship with them now, and you can use them on other future projects. And it's like, for you, it's just going to be a time saver, and that's the biggest thing.
Right, yeah. I just love the crew that I built up because these are all people that I've worked on their sets within the last year, and now I'm kind of cashing in that favor. Like, I've done a lot for you now, and then it's everyone I built up like a repertoire with, and I can trust them all. I know they're the best at their job, and the reason I hired them, or in a sense, was because I knew they were
brought them on.
better than me at that particular job. So like
exactly.
So just being able to just be like, I have the best guy for this and the best guy for that, or girl, in the case of my production designer and script supervisor, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. Dude, good
diversity,
for you.
Man.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean,
yeah.
we go into pre-production. I mean, you obviously start with a script, and Troy, you're writing your script, or you're sort of in the idea phase of your script, or how far are you along with your script?
Well, for me, with Black Box that I've been working on, I started writing that probably like 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
And for me, what it's been is it started as an idea. I wrote the script, and I was like, hey, I'm pretty happy with this, but I know it can be improved. And 4 months later, I mean, I'm still doing revisions every week to the extent where I think each revision that I've done has improved on the last. But while I've been doing that, I have been speaking with a friend of mine. His name is Tom, who is a fantastic DP, and we've been, discussing the story and kind of just going over logistically what I have in mind for where we're going to shoot. And lights and stuff, because I come from a production background where gaffing and gripping, so lighting is something that I'm very good at communicating with lighting because I've worked with that a lot. So that's where I'm starting from, is like script and shooting, and I've pretty much locked down locations where I'm going to shoot. So yeah, I mean, I'm not shooting for a while, so that's kind of where I'm at.
What was your idea process like? What was generating those ideas? What do you normally go through when you're figuring out ideas or brainstorming ideas? Like, how'd you come up with this film?
Right. Well, in general, what I do when I come up with most of my ideas, and this is very weird, but it works for me, is I go on websites and I look at images. I go on this website called DeviantArt, and I look up all like the digital art, and because I love sci-fi, and I mean that's what I write, that's what I want to create, I look in the science fiction section, and I'll just stare at an image for 10 minutes and just kind of let my mind wander. If I can kind of come up with a story, and then images start popping up in my mind, and then I structurally start putting things together in my head, and then I just kind of get home and write down my ideas in a document, and then I kind of start plotting it out. But what I did for the one that I'm working on now is I basically, I think I told you guys this last week, but I found a short film that I really, really loved. I mean, it's my favorite short film I've ever seen, and it is called The Black Hole. I think it's just called Black Hole. But what I did was I just watched that short film, and I broke down formulaically what I liked about it, and I tried to kind of create a similar formula. Different story completely, different way of telling, different, because in film it's how, not what. So just kind of a different way, but trying to break down the formula and why I liked it. So that's kind of how I got to my idea where I am now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, how do you just kind of go into the script, or do you kind of do you wait for a point where you feel confident enough with the story?
Interesting. Everyone's different, and
right. I mean. What?
I've been told don't start the script until you have everything laid out.
So every screenwriting professor is going to tell you to first write, your log line, then do a beat sheet, each beat just like bam, 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 and then you can actually take those beats and make that into a scene. For me, it's never worked like that. I used to, what I've done before, I used to just start out writing a script, and those scripts weren't that good. I mean, sometimes I would get like 5-10 pages into a great idea, and then they would just die because I just ran out of steam. What I did for the last script I wrote, which I'm just saving right now, is I took an audio recorder on my iPhone, and I just spoke my entire story idea beginning to end, and just without really hitting the stop button, and it just worked, because I think I'm really good at generating ideas. I don't think I'm a
just sound clip of just
and I would just play it back and just write the script like that, because I just don't like structure and all that stuff. I think I'm really good at generating ideas. I don't think I'm a really good writer. I should give myself a little more credit, because I've taken other people's ideas and rewrote their scripts or treatments and things like that, and turned them into much better scripts, in my opinion at least. But I feel when I write something that's like my original work, I'm just like, I'm not really that confident in it. I don't really like it. Other people aren't that interested in it either. And it depends, because when I get my ideas, I tend to find a short film or a movie scene, and I just steal it, and then I steal another one, and then I just put the three together and basically implement them. So I think every scene from a movie that I personally wrote, because I haven't written every movie that I've directed. My cousin actually writes a lot of the movies I've directed in the past, but every movie I've directed, I could tell you exactly where and when I saw that scene in some movie and how I twisted it to make it my own. So I guess like Tarantino in a sense, but not as good.
Yeah. No, hey, you don't know that yet. Who knows? But yeah, so you go off of the idea of, building from. I mean, that's all that art is, in my opinion. It's whether consciously or subconsciously, it's stealing from other ideas and making it your own. So I think you consciously do it, but to the extent where you're twisting enough that it's not noticeable. And I think everyone's lying if they say they don't do that to a certain extent, you know?
Yeah, I feel what I'm best at is taking other people's ideas and just like making it happen and like adding to it and things like that. So like my favorite thing is like when I read a really good script, I'm like, I want to direct this. So
yeah,
that's what I like most.
I haven't been in that. I would love to be in that situation where I don't write the script, but I'm like, I can just look at the table of 3 scripts and like, oh, that's a pretty cool one. And you just take sort of a detached approach at first, and then the story kind of grows on you, and then you're able to kind of consult with the writer about, well, what did you mean in this part? And then I didn't like that part of this scene. I'm going to change it as the director and throw my own style on it. I really like that.
Right. So
out in LA, I need more filmmakers around me.
yeah. It's nice being out here because there's a lot of people, but at the same time, it's very saturated because there's so many people. It's kind of hard to, well, I guess it's not hard, but you have to weed through some people to get to the good ones because there are so many. And you have to, watch them work, see what they produce. So there's that, but it's got its pluses and minuses.
So once we've got the script done, what's usually the next step for you guys? You guys share this, or do you like go into?
I like getting the crew, and here's why I like getting the crew first. There's a few reasons. The most literal reason for me. Crew and dates first, because in film school everyone just gets booked and there's like no crew, equipment, anything like that. So that's a very literal reason. But like in your head, the reason why I like getting crew first is because I know if I have a great crew, the movie's going to end up being well, and I could focus on casting, I could focus on acting, and I know everyone else is going to do their job. So if I know I have a great gaffer, a great DP with an incredible vision, I don't have to worry about the sound guy not hitting record, things like that. It's all okay from there. And everything that doesn't happen correctly or the way I want it is my fault after that point.
Right. See, for me, I think once I have a script, at least where my mind is right now is I'm working on having the script being 100%, at least to the extent. I know that once I am into production, probably up until then, I'll probably be doing some revisions and whatnot. Sorry, let me close this. There's like a yapping dog outside. Once I have that, I basically am looking for budget. Like I'm looking for where I'm going to get my money and how I'm going to get my money. How much am I going to be fronting? How much can I afford? And where can I look to, get additional funds? But for me, the way that at least I've worked, I've developed really close relationships with certain people and pretty much across all avenues of filmmaking. So I feel very confident that, if I need a DP, DP obviously you get ahead of time, but if I need a gaffer, not only are they going to do it because they trust the DP, but I've developed good relationships with these people too, so they'll want to do favors for me. And same with sound and all that. So I think assembling crew is not at the top of my list, but cast is going to come after budget for me, because that, you need to lock up talent in that regard, at least in my case, because I haven't worked with that many actors, so I don't have that kind of go-to in my back pocket set of actors that I know are always going to be there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But with crew, I do have that to a certain extent.
For me, since I know a lot of the actors in my school, and I know like the variety, if I'm writing something or thinking of a script, reading a script, I know I could actually cast that person. I know how to work with them because I've worked with them before. Or if you go to backstage.com and post an ad there, you could always get success that way.
Right.
I'm definitely not an actor's director. I don't think I'll ever be. Like I'm so focused on the camera aspects of it, but like when I've had bad experience with theater actors. That, like, you guys ever had issues getting theater?
Yes, actually.
There's probably like in your areas. There's like our film actors dedicated to just film, and all the our screen actors. I've run into a lot of theater actors, and they like to be way up here, and like because they have to like talk to the back of the room.
Right.
It's like no.
They're not used to close-ups and stuff like that, to where they can do micro expressions.
I just need you to be like 6 inches from me. Just
you have a story to tell. You want to tell that story, and then I'll tell mine.
It's just happened anecdotally on multiple sets where it's just been. It's like, oh, okay, the flamboyant, really hyper theater actor, and then it's like, gosh, I just need someone that, I mean, almost casting a non-actor or someone who has no experience as an actor or who kind of wants to get into acting but has never really done it. Those can oftentimes be like, I call them like just ghost picks. You know, you never know that these guys.
Well, you can mold them. I mean, they're not set in their ways necessarily. Whereas I feel like a stage actor is going to be like, I'm pretty much set in my ways, and this is how I act. It is bolsterous because they're used to stage acting. Whereas someone that hasn't or doesn't, you can be like, you know, if you're a good enough director, you can at least guide them into what you're trying to get.
Yeah, so it's interesting with stage actors, you know, like they do need to speak to the back of the auditorium and whatnot. And I remember in high school, you know, I always say now, looking back, I wish when I made movies I always got the theater kids because at least they know how to act. Yeah, they'll be over excessive, but at least they're not going to be like bad as if I were acting in a sense. At least they're in a sense trained.
But you can bring them in. You can reel them in a little bit.
Right, exactly. I remember that one movie, the first time we ever used I didn't direct it. I guess I was the AD for it. The director, you know, who's actually a friend now who goes to my college. He went to my high school as well. We used a theater kid, and he didn't perform well at all. It was very theatrical and whatnot. Not flamboyant, but that is another story. When you audition theater kids, like it happens even here, where you're just like, you don't want to insult them, but you're basically like, can you talk less like that? Like I don't know. So what I've just trained I really thought hard of this because like I don't know how to say like I still don't know how to say. I'm just like, I like that, but can we like make it a little more like, you know, masculine, a little more like I've never even saying that because I think that might be insulting. Yeah, but like it's really weird because I've had that experience too.
Gender identity. You don't. What is masculine to you is not masculine to me.
No, that totally like. Huh? Why can't this actor be gay? Because it's not gay in my head, man. I don't know, but like, it's very interesting. And then branching off. Okay, so we're talking about casting. I lost my train of thought. It was flamboyant actors. What was the main point? What was the main point we were just talking about?
We were just kind of talking about the steps.
Theater actor
directing. Okay, so there's 3 things. I need to write these down so I remember. So I took an acting class here. It was acting for filmmakers. I hated it. I hate acting.
Everyone hates that.
I hate acting. But I took it and it was horrible. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. It was a 2 or 3 hour class. Miserable. But I learned a lot. And I think I'll see next weekend. I think I'm an okay director now. So you need the moment before. So what happened right before the camera rolled? Like, what was he doing before he walked into the kitchen? You need the objective, which is, no, your objective isn't to make the tea. What do you want to get out of that conversation with your husband who you think is cheating?
Right.
So you need
context
the objective.
Versus subcontext.
Right. Yeah. So like, there's always an objective. So literally, when we would get a script and we would have to perform in front of the class, what our teacher told us, every single line you had to put a to-do verb. So like every single line as an actor we had to do it like a to-do verb, like or like an adverb and things like that to like describe what we're thinking in that moment and what it's doing to get us to that objective.
Okay.
Like belittle or something like that.
Yes. Yep. Like exactly like that.
Belittle
or to praise or to do that or acknowledge or something like that.
Okay.
And It's very so okay. We got the moment before, we got the objective. I'm blanking on the third one, but those two are definitely the most important. As long as there's always an objective, because I'm reading some of these scripts like that. I was talking to you before the show. The one script that I read that wasn't all there. There wasn't a lot of conflict. Every scene needs to have an objective, or why else is it? Why is this a scene? Like there's like a 2-paragraph scene of him getting home and going to sleep. That serves nothing. What's the objective here? How's that adding to the story? Slash that.
Right. Well, I mean, the idea of writing a script is, obviously, usually they're broken into 3 acts. First act, second act, third act. But even smaller than that, each scene on its own should have a 3-act structure as well. It should have a beginning, a middle, and end with objectives. So I think for pre-production purposes, if you're directing, it's very good to understand the structure of the scene and objective of each character, and write that down on your script, your personal script that you have, so that you understand and whoever you're working with, understands the script in like a what you're going for kind of sense. So before the camera rolls.
That's true.
I want to read a segment of my script, just so we could go do this example. Of how I spoke to my actress when I first met with her. So the patient character, there's the patient and then Deandra. And the patient says, "Did I ever tell you about the time I went to the beach?" Deandra says, "Shh, just relax." Deandra, and then the patient keeps talking and rambling, and throughout the scene, the Deandra character says, "Please, you have to relax, and you're hurting me," and things like that. So a lot of people were reading it like that, like, "You're hurting me, please." Like, I've been getting like video auditions and things like that. So when I talked to my actress, who I eventually casted, I asked her to, instead of an emotion, because you never, that was the third thing, you never want to say emotions. No, don't feel sad, don't feel angry, don't show anger to him. Give them an example. Give them an example. So the example I used, how I wanted her to read this particular line of, "You have to relax," because you might see that on a page and think like you're fearing what's happening or whatnot, is what I said was, you're scared. Well, I said this exact example. Pretend your deranged brother is holding a gun to your dog. You're scared inside, but like at the same time you have to be calm and collected, and like, so you're saying, "You have to relax. You're hurting me," in that sense. So that gives and she knew exactly what I meant, as crazy and loony as that example is.
Right. Well, you have to say it like as if, play the scene as if, this is going to happen, or that rather than.
You want to give actors like a situation to try to put themselves in. You don't want to give them an emotion. You don't want to say like, "Okay, you're angry in this scene. You're very upset." You don't want to say that. You could say
so that it's different for everyone.
It is different. So
like each actor.
If it's clear, like let's say you just got news that your dad dies in the script or whatever, you could say clearly you're upset. But instead of you feeling like you want to like, instead of feeling like you just want to lock yourself in the room and like cry all day and you're depressed, you actually want to fulfill that life dream of spreading his ashes on the San Diego beach line or something like that. So you're kind of like, okay, like like give them that direction to act a certain way, instead of you could say that emotion. I tried to completely avoid it because that's the way I was taught, but it's not the end of the world.
No, that makes sense. Like you're sort of narrating what their emotions are. You're not telling them what their emotions are.
Through verbs and adjectives. Well, through verbs instead of the adjectives.
Okay, that makes sense. So are you doing rehearsals right now, or did you do sort of like auditions at this point?
So with this actress, we didn't really rehearse. We just went through the motivations of the script. So I'm gonna have a rehearsal with both the actors next week. So I want to meet with them separate first, so that they know their objectives through each scene. So I met with my actress, and then I'll meet with my actor. I'll go through their objectives for every scene. because they're not going to know. You know, it might be clear to you, it might be clear to your screenwriting teacher or your friend or something like that, but it might not exactly click with them. There's sometimes a case, for example, there's one objective to a scene where, this is kind of interesting, we're not exactly clicking exactly, she doesn't understand exactly what I want her objective to be. So in that case, in her head, which doesn't, it's not going to portray in the story, in the narrative, but in their head, she's giving a backstory to her character that helps her give the emotion that I want portrayed on screen, if that makes sense. So
that's a reasonable approach.
So she's going to justify what you said in her own way.
Yes. So like if I want her to show hatred towards a character, she'll think of like sexual abuse in her past, you know, in her younger childhood days.
And the guy looks like the lady that sexually abused her or something. Right.
Yeah. So so in my head, that's not what I want on screen. But if that helps her, she has 100% permission from me to do that. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but it's getting me the results that I'm looking for. So
that's what's important.
Well, right. I mean, that's kind of the cool part about bringing on an actor is they are as much a collaborator as you are. Like they can add a different dimension, a different, you know, what if we tried it like this? You know, almost the same way a gaffer would say, you know, instead of the light going like this, why don't we shoot it over there and this will make a little more emotional scene? It's like, oh, I never thought of that. Let's do that.
Right, yeah, really? Yeah, like you're hiring the gaffer, the DP, and the actor because they're better at those jobs than you are. So like you want their insight and like they're bringing something to the table, and that's what I love about this. You know, because
when you guys hire a crew, do you sort of require that they know the story by heart?
No, I mean I don't think that's important. I mean, I personally,
or do you think some of them just be sort of mechanical to it?
Yeah, I personally, I mean, unless you're the DP, if you're the DP, you're like above the line. If you're the DP, director, producer, actors, then you need to know the story because you're so integral into getting that story across. If you're below the line, someone that is, you know, literally just building the set and putting the lights certain places, I think maybe gaffer to a certain extent might want to know the script to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But for the most part, anyone that's like gripping and stuff like that, they don't need to know. I mean, I've worked on countless sets.
I don't give a shit if she was no idea. Like, I don't even.
Yeah. We'll be sitting there and we'll just like all of the grips, or you know, I'll be talking with my grips and I'll be like, they'll ask like, so what's going on with the story? I'm like, I think the dog just got hit by like a car, so I don't know. And then, but yeah, I mean, it depends on your position. I think if you're above the line, yes. Below the line, not necessarily, unless you know you're gaffer and it's like requested or something.
Whenever I'm in those positions where it's just you're merely just a crew member, we're just shit talking the whole movie, like in the behind the scenes, like me and the boom operator, like what is this like as the scene is going forward, like this doesn't make any sense. This is why would they do that in this scene? This doesn't make any sense.
That's totally gonna happen on my set because
we're an idiot.
We're using like heavy makeup and prosthetics, and we have to shoot the last scene first because that's the order of the makeup, and then we're gonna like basically zombify the character. So it's just not gonna make any sense. And most
that's the hardest part is when you shoot. Typically, you shoot things, I mean, out of order every time. So contextually trying to piece it together, it's like you really don't know what's going on unless you read the script until like the very end. I mean, for context too. I mean, look, Star Wars is pretty much the most beloved franchise in the history of cinema. And when they were making that movie, everyone on set was like, this is utter trash. Like, what the hell is this George Lucas? What is this guy doing, you know? And to the extent where George Lucas, like, wanted to quit filmmaking because it was almost like a fraternity to him, and he was just, like, so negatively impacted. Mm-hmm. And look how that turned out, you know? Like, I know there's people that don't like it and stuff, but for the most part, I mean, it's done extremely well and it's very popular. So you never know how something's going to turn out until it's a finished product, I believe.
Absolutely. So the director has pretty much all the responsibility of making these final decisions. So they need to go and have like actors notes, and then they need to have like discussions with the DP, and then also do they even like marketing and business conversations with their producer? What does say like a cinematographer?
That's what Oh, well, you kind of just skipped out there. I was going to say that's the importance of pre-production meetings. That's why you have, pre-production meetings with camera and lighting crew, if it's a bigger set, or you have, individual with the production design, with the actors. These are all very important before you start shooting. And then you'll have, typically a very, all cast and crew, or not cast, but all crew meeting, just to kind of talk over the logistics of like, oh, this day we're going to be here, and this day we're going to be here, and here's a little bit about the story, just to kind of give people some context. And then you'll split off into like, oh, camera team, go over there, you guys just talk a little bit about stuff. So yeah, I think as a director, it's very important to have those meetings.
Okay, how about let's skip to production meetings and location scouts. You know what? Let's talk about location scouts first. What do you guys look for in a location scout? And who do you bring along?
Affordability.
All right. Let's say. Okay. Good. But you're at the location now. You have it secured for your weekend. What are you looking for?
I'm such a practical guy that I will probably bring down the whole thing, just like, you know what, this isn't logistically gonna work out. Like, in my immediate thought, my first thought will never be, oh, look how beautiful this is, or like, this is so creative that we could do with this hallway. My first thought is like, oh, there's no plugs in here. Yeah.
Okay. So plugs.
We don't have enough power. We need a generator. We can't afford a generator.
Right. Yeah. So interesting things that I've been taught to look at for location scouts is the circuit breaker, the plugins. Interesting with this is where the outlets are, because one, you need to know where the power's coming from. The house that I'm shooting this in only has 2-prong plugs, not the 3-prong plugs.
No.
Was it built before the 1970s?
Oh yeah, it's old. It's old.
Yeah.
It's an old house.
Yeah,
I hate this
older
house.
houses usually have all 15 amp circuits too. There's not many like 20 amp circuits there, so it's hard to like run certain lines.
You know what? I'll ask this question right now. Like, am I gonna run into a big problem?
Well, it depends on what lights.
How much power you bring.
I mean,
I'm getting a call from a production person already. Hang on, I gotta hold that up. But this is scary.
This production meeting can hold.
Yeah. So with my I'm just worried. You think if I spread enough electricity, we're gonna have enough stingers to cover all of it?
Here's what you need to do: is you need to figure out how old this house is, because depending on how old the house is,
it's probably the 40s.
Circuits can be broken up in different quadrants. Whoa! I think we just had an earthquake.
Really?
Whoa. Yeah, maybe either that or one of my roommates just like shook. Anyways,
Potentially shook the entire house.
So, yeah, it depends on the house, but a lot of houses have power broken up differently, in different quadrants. So you need to figure out, you need to walk through, or your gaffer needs to walk through with your BBE and be like, here's the power, it's on this circuit and stuff. And then you need to figure out if your laundry room and kitchen, I think laundry room, is it laundry room or bathroom? It's laundry room and either bathroom or kitchen that typically has 20 amp circuits, and generally everything else will help.
Yeah.
So you need to really just kind of look around and be like, how much power does each quadrant of the house have, and then you can know what you can run, what lines you can run from each room, and like if you need to put like 250s from the laundry room just to get power outside or something like that. So, that's very important.
Next on the list, is it prone to natural disasters like earthquakes?
Are you actually able to? Does this say all on the circuit breaker? This is all things I'll figure out myself. I'm talking to pro right
here. I mean, on the circuit breaker it says if it's 15 or 20.
Okay.
Unless it's like super old and they didn't label that or something, but I'm assuming it's not.
And 15 old. Means what? 15 and 20 mean in
15
what?
amps.
Okay.
There's like 15 amps of.
There's like an electrical calculator online. You can do all the math.
It's basically like Well, if you have a 1,000-watt light, that's 10 amps.
Okay, good.
You just move the decimal place over, and I mean, it's usually you divide it by 120, which is it's roughly around that. But I mean, you always just want to err on the edge of 2 decimals over.
Good to know. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
And I don't think if you don't have anything if you're not working with anything that's like super large, because I think we kind of discussed the lights you're working with. I think you'll be
just a
fine.
wall of light, man. That's the only thing, but that's a Kino, so I know it does have obviously has a ballast.
Oh, Kinos are very efficient, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, those are good.
Okay,
yeah,
so
discussing stuff like that and like before you go to the location shooting, figuring out all of that is very important for pre-production, because you could blow a circuit and need to I mean, that's a minor fix, but you want to know that you have enough power for everything that you have.
Yeah. So you got a circuit breaker, you got outlets, you got sound. Obviously, you don't want to be under an airport.
Yeah, I usually go into a room, and I learned it from my studio manager in school, and it's like I think there's like a trick that blind people do. They can do like that kind of like the clicking sound, and you can, or you just scream real loud or clap really hard, and you can listen for an echo in the room, and that's going to tell you how acoustically sound the room is. And you clap real hard, hear an echo, you're like, we might need to bring in some rugs or moving blankets, just kind of dampen the sound.
Yeah.
Right.
No one ever thinks about sound.
It's funny.
It's so
funny.
underrated.
So
I was working on a film set earlier this year. The best sound it was the film set of the best sound guy in our school. This was his film, and he was shooting in a house. But every 10 minutes, an airplane flew over. We're like, how did you miss this?
Oh, no. For location, yeah, that's something you really need to consider.
Maybe he's only there for 10 minutes. Or 9 minutes. I've seen everything I need.
I don't know, man. He should have known better. I don't know how he missed that, but whatever. That was funny, though. So, yeah, now we know location scouts. They're very important.
Yeah,
right.
Get your
paperwork.
And
then I think
waivers, liability.
Paperwork with everything. And then also, it's very important. I mean, if you have a bigger production, this is more important, but art design and art direction, that's where, for both art direction and cinematography, it's very important to do your friggin' storyboarding. So that's a good idea to get your colors down and talk logistically to your production design department team, so they know, okay, we need to bring a basket of apples, or we need to bring these flowers, we need to bring this drapery over here, and that way they can communicate. The art team and the cinematography department can communicate about, for example, if you're in a room and the art department and the director wants to have some linen or something like that to cover this. It's important to talk to the cinematography department ahead of time that, hey, this is going to be up there, this is going to affect your diffusion, it's going to affect the lighting in the room, so consider that when you're trying to cut light and see if you can work around it. So I think it's really important to have that communication flowing between all the departments before you start shooting.
And you should definitely bring them on the location scout.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah.
With my location scout, it's going to be me, the DP, gaffer, and production designer. So those 4 people when we go eventually.
What else? I guess
how about let's wrap with the topic of what to cover in a production meeting. There's several production meetings with here and there, but that big one,
or right before shooting.
Yeah.
I think a big thing, I mean, obviously when you're on set, when you're actually there, that's when you have, your safety meeting, and where they say, if this isn't your department, remember, don't touch stuff. It's very important, because if you plug in your phone, which a lot of people do on sets, they'll plug in their phone to charge, that can screw with power. So it's before you do anything, don't do that. So mainly safety stuff to discuss there, but bigger things, if you're going somewhere where there's just a lot of industrial things, or if there's just some big safety concern. I think that's very important to discuss at a meeting. Safety is always extremely important because, I mean, on a hot set, there's a lot of dangers, and people need to be aware of that.
Yeah, we're shooting in a really small location, so it's gonna be interesting. I have a pretty large crew, like 15 or so people.
And probably right before you kind of want to. I mean, this probably doesn't have anything to do with the logistics of the production, but if I'm the producer or the director for a meeting right before we're about to shoot, I kind of like to set the tone of the set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're the guiding light, you're the narrator of this film set, so you kind of just need to step out, be a leader, show people that you're capable of leading them, and then also, and when I say setting the tone, you know, is this an open, collaborative, fun set? Is this, you know, does everyone need to behave themselves on this set? Is this guy, you know, is he a strict kind of director? Is he really dedicated to the craft, or is he, you know, is this sort of a going to be loosey-goosey, everyone having a good time set? And that, I think,
hopefully it's a combination where people are having fun, but more than anything, professionalism and safe. But yeah, that is important to set the tone.
Because mid production, you don't want the mutiny.
Feed them well.
Right.
Feed them well.
Oh my gosh, take care of your freaking crew. Crew morale is the biggest thing that smaller young productions overlook. And one of the best and easiest ways to fix that. Yeah, I mean, one of the best and easiest ways to fix that is to talk, like make sure that everyone's kind of in like spirits. But for me, crafty, just having plenty of food and water and stuff. Because if a production runs out of water, holy shit,
I've never experienced that.
Worst, dude. Especially in California, my God. No, it's not a big deal here, but like, I mean, it's obviously not a drop, but. Oh my God, yes, dude. It's gonna be this summer is terrifying. That's why I want to get out of here.
Wait, so what is the actual
February of not having water? Is people getting dehydrated? I mean, if you're in summer and it is like 90 degrees, you're in the middle of the desert and you run out of water and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. That gets really scary because people are gonna start, you know. No one ever like falls over, but their productivity is going to go down. Someone could get really hurt. Someone could not want to work. Like, there's just a lot of things. So just make sure you feed and take care of your crew.
Is there nice one? Is there any is water missing from shelves at stores or something, or are they priced really high?
Oh no, it's not like that. Now ask me that in about 3-4 years, that might be the case. But we were expecting El Nino, and El Nino definitely did not come because everyone's like, nature's reciprocal. Didn't come, but anyway, so yeah, and another important thing, we kind of touched on this earlier, but discussing the story, just so I think that's another part of setting the tone. Like, here's the story. It is a dramatic piece. When we're talking with certain actors, you know, if it's a dramatic scene, make sure that you're not around. If there's any special requests, like, hey, no one make eye contact with the actor at this point because they need to be in their head. Things like that, I think, are important to talk about.
Yeah. All right.
So,
any closing thoughts on?
I think we can move on to our resource of the week segment and then wrap it up after that.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. So a great pre-production tool that I've used many times, and I'm a huge fan of it. It's called Synchronize.com. It is SCENECHRONIZ. So it's like scene, like a movie scene, and then synchronize, combine those two words. And what it is, it's an online pre-production tool. You pay a certain fee, either per film, or it depends on how many pages are in your script. So if it's less than 30 pages, then it's this set price. If it's more than 30 pages, it's like a feature film price. But what it does, you load your script into it, and it will automatically break down every element, character, props, scene, day, night, and as the producer, you're able to just sort of look at everything, everything on a broad end, and you're able to see how many scenes are at night, and from there it can generate forms, you can generate strip boards, you can generate day call sheets, night, I'm trying to think what else the other sheets are called.
Interesting.
So it's basically like an automated way of making your shooting script rather than doing it manually.
Exactly. And the
that
other
is
cool
awesome.
And the other cool part about it, it's an email client at the same time. So you bring on cast and crew, and you plug in their email and their phone number, and you're able to have this directory of actors and crew. And you can send a blast email to the electrical department. You can send the email sent like
so it's cloud based as well.
Here's the selling point.
based.
Here's going to be the selling point if they have this. Do they have what do they call it? You know, what you send over the night before a shoot? What do you call it?
Call sheets.
There we go. Call sheet.
It'll automatically make a call sheet.
What?
And
Wait, what's the website called?
Wow.
It's called Synchronize. Here, I'll post it in the chat log.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to touch on that we really didn't get much of a chance, but how much easier it is to do pre-production now because of cloud-based systems like something like this and like Google Drive and stuff like that. Things like this just make it so much easier.
I'm trying to think. I mean, they've been pretty. I've worked with them a couple times now, and you pay per the script. So if you have your script revision, you just email them, and they'll swap out the new script versions, break it down again for you. But you're able to take a scene 1, 7, and 6. We're going to shoot that on Tuesday, and then something happens, and you as the producer or the first AD can just like, nope, scene 7, let's move that till the next day. And just automatically
does it create a production schedule for you too?
Production schedule.
How does it know how to make it efficient?
What do you mean?
Like how do you know it's not gonna? I mean, obviously you'll go over it, but like how does it know how like the most efficient way location-wise to shoot this scene and that scene?
Oh well, that's where.
Obviously it's not a.
You just like manually drag it. You say I want to shoot.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's shoot scenes 6, 7, and 2, and you can say it'll. I mean, it won't like optimize it like that. Where it's like.
Okay, this is awesome.
But you're able to sort of objectively look at everything. It's all color coded. I know you were talking about color coding your scripts a while back. I'm gonna make a video for that soon.
Oh, good. Thank you. I need it.
Figure that out. I gotta read up on it.
Man.
So it's called Synchronize.
You found gold.
Go to the main website. It's called ease.com. EASE.com. All right.
Nice. So
sweet cloud-based solution. Try to get them sponsored here, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. We pimp it every week.
There we go.
Sweet. Yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up. Jordan, you want to take it away?
Let's wrap it up, fools. All right, this has been episode 4, guys. I want to thank you guys for listening to our pre-production discussion. We have Troy
watching.
Oh yeah, and watching. We're gonna be here next week trying out the Google Hangouts on air again. I think this worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
3 viewers.
I think now we know how to do it better. So
killing it with 3 viewers. Sweet, yeah. End of the episode, and thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Your Film a Playground podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
Talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.